Unlike the calendar new year, the human design year begins when the sun transits the gate 41, which generally happens between January 21st to January 22nd of every year. Ra Uru Hu, the founder of human design, always said that everyone would benefit from paying attention to a full moon cycle, or the 28 or 29 days it takes the moon to go around the whole human design mandala. By tracking the moon, he himself discovered the deep impact the moon had on his body graph and how he felt the energy of his body graph when his channels were completed. So in that vein, it made sense for us to journey around the whole human design mandala. But this will take, rather than 28 or 29 days, this will take a whole calendar year, or 365 days. The hope is that we can discover how the transits of the sun make us feel, and even sometimes how we act. And if we really want to discover more, we can use our focus to not only look at how the transits affect us, but also the world around us, from our family, our friends, to the entire world stage. So join me today as we begin our journey around the Mandala of Life. As the Socrates quote says, "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom." And I would add that the more we know ourselves, the more we end up knowing each other. It ultimately is all in the process of being human. And after the year we've had in 2020, I don't think there's anything wrong with us discovering more about who we are. At the very least, this will help us discover that we have value and worth, and at the very most, it might help us begin to heal the pain and suffering that we may have experienced in the last year. And if there's anything that most of us can stand behind, no matter where we come from, it's that we want change in our lives and change in the world. In reality, the world can't change in a second, but at least when we're moving to something better and changing ourselves, we start a momentum and even a domino effect. And like the Gate 9 tells us, is all about small details coming together to make big impacts in the world. It literally is all about opening our eyes up to the possibilities that we see for change for at least ourselves and at most humanity as a whole. And no matter what we do to make things better, it starts off small and eventually it begins to grow. In my opinion, the Human Design Mandala shows us all the parts of what it is to be human. It talks about creating, it talks about fantasy, it talks about love, it talks about nurturing. It can even show us our direction in life and where we're meant to go, what our life purpose is, and what we're meant to do when we're here on this earth. It shows us the beauty in all parts of life, the struggles, the obstacles that we hit as we try and move forward with our hopes and dreams, and even the times we just don't feel like we're good enough, or we don't have the strength to push on. All these energies are part of what it means to be human, and all of these energies are included in the 64 hexagrams, or the 64 gates of the Human Design Mandala. And if there's anything that I've learned in life, it's that the journey of humanity comes with joy and pain, and really a multitude of feelings and experiences in between. And when we see that life isn't by accident, that there is in fact a plan for us all, it really makes those dark moments of our lives easier to bear, because we know that this too shall pass, and we will once again be free. So let's begin to travel through a year of life and to discover the secrets and the beauty of the Mandala of Life. But before we begin this new cycle, let's take a brief glimpse of where we've been and how it's changed us. It's not an understatement to say that 2020 ripped the very fabric of our existence in half and left more than a few of us wondering about how we could rebuild. When the planet Saturn entered the gate 60 in 2020, it heralded change, and it also indicated the end of what was. It quickly propelled us into uncertain territory, and every day showed us something new. Of course, there were other players in how the year unfolded, but the main theme was that cycles were ending and change was upon us. In March of this year, 2021, Pluto, one of the slowest moving planets, And one of the most impactful transformational planets is going to enter the gate 60, where Saturn and Jupiter made their final pass. And when it does, a final transformation will continue. And what remains to be changed and disassembled and moved out of this reality will probably fall away, allowing us to have the space to rebuild something better and more beautiful than we ever had before. So if we imagine that 2020 was a crockery pot that was shattered, then 2021 and beyond might be where we begin to repair what was broken. It's much like the Japanese art of kintsugi, which is where gold is used to reassemble the broken pieces of crockery. And though it's never exactly the same as it was before, the reassembled piece shows the distress and the shattering of the crockery, but it also shows new character as well as new beauty. There are some who will say that we're too broken and this idea is a Pollyanna view, but I'm completely fine with still believing what I believe, that in 2021 and beyond, it will show us that a butterfly is breaking free of its cocoon. And though it's a difficult process, it's also not something that we can hurry along, because every thread that is broken gives the butterfly the strength it needs to be more powerful. It's all about the strength that we have, and that obstacles and struggles in our life make us only stronger, because we know that we can actually push through no matter what life gives us. It's also about the idea that if we interfere with the process, or even if we try and speed up the process, just like if we try and pull a butterfly out of its cocoon, the butterfly will forever be weak and will not have the strength it needs to continue on in its life. Its wings will not be strong enough. And if we are interfering in the process, if we're trying to speed things along, we will not have the right foundation so that we can move forward in life. Ultimately, we are the change that the world needs, and it begins with the fantasy of something better. When we're talking about the fantasy of the Gate 41, we're talking about an energy that is so far away from reality that it feels as if it's just a dream. And the truth is, sometimes that's all it is. But many other times, the energy of the Gate 41 is something we need to hold on to. The dream we need to grasp loosely, the dream that we can change when need be. So eventually, what we want the most in life can be brought into the real world. The sun will enter the Gate 41 on January 21st, and that's when the new human design cycle or year will begin. The planet Saturn remains in the same space as the sun when the sun enters, and the planet Jupiter will have already made its pass, leaving just as the sun enters. What this says is that these two big planets are opening the door to possibility. And within that possibility is the energy for something that we can begin to build. The Gate 41 would be considered an initiating codon, or where everything begins. So it is powerful energy, and it makes sense that it begins the Mandala of Life. It is also the fuel for the energy of the Gate 30, which is the energy to hold on to the dream, because this isn't a process that happens overnight. And for this reason, we need to hold on and hold on for a while to understand that no matter how far out of reach it feels, you really can bring this dream into reality. Built within this energy is the power to keep believing, even when the world hasn't shown you anything at all. Because in this darkness of uncertainty, we search for the light, that pinpoint of something that will raise our spirits and show us that there's something new coming. There could be melancholy and joy wrapped into this energy, which means that sometimes we won't have the clarity to know exactly what we want and what we need and how we're going to make it happen. But if we can hold on to the belief that good things are coming to us, even if we can't see them, we just might be able to make those big dreams that we have in our heart and soul happen. And an important thing to keep in mind is that this energy is never about something that happens in a day, a week, and sometimes even months. It's something that grows, that if nurtured and cared for, becomes something much, much bigger. So a big key to working with this energy is patience, and that the good things in our lives can take hard work and endurance. If we look at the Rave I Ching, the Gate 41 is called decrease. and is called the limitation of resources which maximize development of potential. Which means that instead of having an abundance of resources and every specialized tool in the book, you'll have a hammer and nails, and it's your job to find the material to build your dreams. So like I said, it takes time. But the question we need to ask ourselves is this: are we willing to stay the course? To hold on to that seemingly impossible dream, which may or may not come into fruition. Because, to be truthful, this energy never comes with guarantees. And if our answer is that the dream that we envision matters enough for us to stay on course, no matter what obstacles we encounter, then that is where the potential and beauty and maybe even the magic of the Gate 41 is found. Well, that's all I have for you now, and stay tuned for the next gate of the Mandala of Life, the Gate of Sensitivity, the Gate 19. Take care, and I'll see you soon.